Welcome to the Real Estate Virgins podcast. We are here with Jordan Brown.
What's going on, everybody?
And Mandy Botts.
Hey, hey.
And we are here. Mandy Botts is our guest today. How are you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Good. We're excited to have you. So, a little bit to the listeners. Thank you so much for listening. If you like anything you hear in this podcast, please give it a like, give it a share, and even give us a review on iTunes. That would really help us. We're getting a lot of momentum right now.
The podcast is growing, and it's all thanks to you guys. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for listening. It's really valuable information. I hope that you feel the same way. I mean, otherwise, it's just us talking for an hour. So, so we appreciate you sharing, tuning in, and hopefully it's of substance to you.
Well, we've been through a lot. We have, and hopefully you learn from our failures.
Yeah, that's essentially what this is. It's us talking about, like, I feel like our the online, like, getting your licensing information was all about how not to get in trouble. Yeah. And then we're here to tell you after you get your license how to avoid bad things in your real estate career. So
how it really is, because when you start taking classes, it's like, oh, I didn't really use anything.
No, it doesn't prepare you very much. I've never been in a situation where I'm like, what was that 1964 law?
That's it's all the laws that you're like, wait, which one is that? And
yeah.
How many attorneys are on the real estate commission?
God, don't ask me.
I think it's 12.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, something like that. Cool. So tell us a little bit about your story, Mandy. When did you start real estate? Why do you love real estate, and what you got going on right now?
Yeah, so I actually come from an education background. So my degree is in education, and I was a teacher for a couple of years. I taught 5th grade, which I do love teaching, but it is a very high energy job every day, all day. You got to be on with these kids, and that's that. So I got introduced to real estate when my husband and I were in college, and we bought a home back before 2008 when I think he was unemployed and I made $12 an hour, something like that, right? Something crazy. And they still approved us for a home.
And that's all you need to get a house, folks. There you go.
Do you have a pulse? You're approved. Yeah. But yeah, so we bought our first home in college, and we were able to live in that home, and we actually sold it 8 weeks before the crash.
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
what timing.
I mean, and it wasn't like I knew anything. It was just, we needed to move. Yeah. And so that's what happened. And we had even talked about keeping it and moving and thought, we'd keep it as an investment. But where we were in our lives, we're like, no, let's just sell it. We need the cash to be able to move and to really start over.
Was that here in Austin?
No, we own the house in Utah.
Oh, okay.
So it was up in Utah where we had the house, and it is still there. It was a 100-year-old home when we bought it.
Whoa.
Wow.
And it was a little cottage, and it was adorable. It's still adorable, but so yeah, it was nothing special. I think it was 900 square feet total.
So
wow.
Wow.
The whole house.
Did you turn a profit on that?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We lived there for, I don't know, just two or 3 years. And yeah, we made quite a bit of money and walked away, and it was fantastic.
So why? Awesome. So why Austin?
So my husband is from California.
Okay.
Okay. Don't hold that against him.
All right. This podcast is over.
Hey, I'm native Texan, right?
Nice.
And so I allow him into the fold, and he's learned very quickly. But he loved California for all the things that it had. And so when we came to that point where he got his degree and he was opening his practice, we had to decide, did we want to move back to California or did we want to stay in Texas, right? So Texas made the most sense financially for us. And my family is here too. And so we just decided, let's look at some Texas options. And we had lived in Dallas, and I was from Houston. So he had been to those two places and, just wasn't thrilled with either one. I said, look, let's go down to Austin. I think you'll like Austin. And he was like, all right, fine. So we came down to Austin. Mind you, we were much younger, and we did 6th Street and we did all the stuff. And we were here for a whole, 2-3 days. The last day we were here, we went to County Line Barbecue on the lake, and we were eating barbecue. And he said, okay, I think I could live here.
Yep.
We got him. The barbecue converted him.
Yep. So then after that, he's like, let's move to Austin. I was like, okay.
I feel like food on the lake got me here too.
it's a powerful thing, right?
Isn't it?
It's quite an experience. It's kind of religious, you know. It's like a spiritual awakening, having some good smoky Texas barbecue. Yeah. I have such a respect, also, like, sidebar, for the teachers in our lives, because I know that my wife's mom is a teacher, her two sisters are teachers. Katie was a teacher at one point, and it is crazy. Would you rather deal with a classroom full of sugared, hyped fifth graders or a crazy client?
Do I have to deal with the parents of the kids? Is the question.
I think it's a package deal, right?
Oh, well,
I think you have to,
but see,
right?
but that's the thing, is it's like, it's not always the kids that are the main issue. I mean, the kids, they have ups and downs like all of us. And, you know, every day is something new and it's fun. Fifth grade's a time when they're really learning about themselves. And so it's a fun age. But sometimes it's just all the extra work, and it's the parents, and it's the paperwork and the grading and the expectations that they have on you as a teacher to complete all these TEKs. And you have to make sure your class is at this level. And, you know, it's not the kids, for me at least, right? I mean, everyone's different. But for me, it was never the kids that I felt like were the main thing that made me move away from teaching.
Right.
It was everything else. And you're right. It's a really hard profession.
Yeah.
You know, it really is.
I think some of the best real estate agents are really good at educating their clients.
Yeah, I imagine that degree has translated really well to your real estate career. And forgive me if you've already said it, what got you from teaching into real estate? Like, why real estate as a profession?
I loved the process so much. When I bought my house in college, I actually started working for that real estate agent while I finished my degree.
Sound familiar?
Oh, no.
Sound familiar?
So
Exactly.
Again,
Yeah.
But it was such a great process, and I loved it so much that I just kind of started with her and just started working with her and under her and just kind of watching her. And then it was just kind of a snowball effect where I was like, And my husband's grandfather was a commercial realtor, and he told me from the time he met me, you need to be in real estate. And I was like, okay. He's like, no, really, you need to be in real estate, but you need to be in commercial real estate. And, you know, he had his reasons, and
Yeah.
I was like, okay, but
That's amazing. You and I have very similar stories. So my aunt was in Victoria and was real big into real estate. And she told me when I was like 18 or something that I should consider it. And I was like, nah, that's not for me. Or like, I made every excuse not to give it a fair shot. And I don't know, like eventually like my own buying experience was like, wow, that was actually pretty cool. Like, that's incredible. Let's do it. And it really changed my mind. Or I guess
you had an amazing.
I was going to say, let me ask who
I mean,
your
they
agent
were okay.
was.
The agent was all right. Made me sign the same amendment like 12 times.
Okay, so quick backstory. He was my first client ever, and I tell everyone he was my guinea pig. Like I tried to understand. I didn't know how to send documents to
On
get
DocuSign?
signed. So
I was a great guinea pig too, because John would send me something and just be like, "Hey, can you sign this?" I'm like, "Sure."
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know what it is, but sounds good.
And then he signed the same thing like 10 times because I didn't know what I was doing.
Well, we all have to start somewhere, right?
Yeah.
It's okay. We all learn. And that's the thing. One of the best sayings, like to my clients when I'm working with someone, is at the end of my listing presentation, or even with buyers. I'm usually listings, not so much buyers, but with my listings, I always say, look, I am human. At the end of the day, if you see something wrong, misspelled, or inaccurate in some way, let me know, because I'm only human, and there is so much information that I'm having to translate to the MLS, to my marketing, to people. So again, I'm only human. If you see something wrong, definitely let me know.
You know how powerful that is? Because I was at a negotiation class once, and they said one of the best ways to break down that wall of distrust is to tell them something that is not perfect about you. Right?
Yeah.
And so when you say, hey, I'm not human, I make mistakes, for some reason it builds a better bond and a better connection when you're trying to build rapport with that client.
Well, you're taking away the mystique of the real estate professional, right? It's you're not this thing that's above making mistakes, or it's like, hey, like this is going to be a collaborative effort, and if you tell, like, it'll work so much better if you tell me that there's something I'm doing wrong, instead of just letting it slide or not saying something and like holding that against me later. Let's work together to make this a really smooth experience.
And it's all about teamwork, right? And you have to make sure that your clients even understand, like, this is a team effort. I am here to do these things for you, but you also have to do these things, right? Like,
two-way street.
And the way that technology is now is, if they're looking to buy a house, I bet you anything, they have Zillow on their phone and they are looking every day, if not every hour, if not every 5 hours, right? And so the chances of them finding the home that they want to make an offer on is pretty great. They may find that home before you do.
Right.
Totally get it. That's okay because they are looking and they know what they want. You're just trying to give them options, but they know what they want. And so I tell them, like, look, it's a team effort. You may actually find the home, but my job is to get you that home. My job is to negotiate for you. My job is to get you in that home. Mm-hmm. If you find it, awesome. Let's work together and get you in it.
Well, I had a client the other day and they were like, hey, they're trying to sell me this house and it had a MUD. And I was like, a mud disclosure?
It's got a mud problem.
Yeah, I know. And so and they weren't represented at that time. And so I explained to them what a mud disclosure was and, or that it was in a mud. And it's just so funny because like if they would have purchased it themselves, they wouldn't have known about that.
Well, I mean, I'm sure you feel this way, John, and even Jordan. Like, there are so many addendums, disclosures, amendments to the contract that even as real estate agents, we're having to update every year, right? Mm-hmm. How many times has the contract changed since you became a real estate agent in Texas?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know.
I know it's changed at least 2 to 3 times, right? I mean, so it's.
I was gonna say 5 or 6.
Again, we don't even know, but it changes a lot, and they're adding new amendments, and sometimes they change the addendum. So, that's our job, is to keep on top of that, and there's a lot. And so when people choose to do it on their own, sometimes they don't understand, like, even the professionals have to keep up.
Yeah. I think we were talking about this at the mastermind on Monday. And if y'all don't know, I'll tell you, Mandy and I are part of a mastermind, and it's so valuable because like we just come with like as much value as possible, and we just share tips, stories, and where we're learning and our wins. We were talking about that day about there was an agent that has a friend that used another agent, right? And basically she was trying to figure out how she could just give value to this person without having to literally, say, hey, I want to be your agent, right?
Right.
And so basically giving this person like a few tips, but not giving them all of the story, all of the tips, because that means you're just giving them all of your value for free, And why am I saying that? Because you were talking about
how the professionals have to keep up with our stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're not a professional and you're trying to do it, you'd probably be totally lost.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Google's amazing. Don't get me wrong. You can Google a lot of things, but when you're talking about one of the largest investments that you will have possibly ever, you don't want to just Google that. You want to get a professional that can help you make sure you're doing it all legal and it's all on the up and up and you don't miss anything.
Yeah,
exactly. And by the way, if you are listening to this and you do not have a group of people like Mandy and John have their mastermind that they get together with, I've dropped in a few times on that. You want to talk about getting me in the right mentality for conquering the week, and because you guys do it on Mondays and it's like, bam, we are in the thick of it. We are in real estate mode. We're able to bounce ideas off each other. And like, I hear them, these are like top performing agents bouncing their needs, their struggles, their lessons of the weeks, like all sorts of really valuable info off of each other. And it's building each other up and getting you in the right mentality to have a really solid week. If you don't have that, get you a group of friends.
Well, we're working on something.
Yeah, we are. But I'm just saying, if now you don't have like a group of people, like make
it.
Exactly. Yeah. Like if there's a need for it, make it yourself, just like John did with the dad's group. Like if there's a need for something, don't hesitate to make it yourself.
And I was going to say, and that's why the Jedi Council, well, okay, so we call ourselves the Jedi Council of Real Estate.
I love that.
In case you were wondering.
Got the lightsabers behind you right here.
The Jedi Council.
The Jedi Council of Real Estate. It's not anything formal. I hear the term mastermind, and to me that sounds so business and so like kind of overreaching maybe. But it's really, we just get together and we talk. And again, like you said, having people who are having those same experiences as you, and we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. There's no doubt about that. But when someone else has such a strength that you can listen to them and what they're doing that's working, it is so helpful. But also when you have a struggle or when you have a weakness, sharing that with a group of your peers who, again, are in the same situation, and them saying, I struggle with that too. Or, hey, here's what might help you. Or just I feel you. You know, sometimes it's more just, like you said, it's more headspace stuff.
Yeah.
It's more getting our minds like really motivated to do another week of real estate.
Yeah, and just having that space of letting people know, hey, I'm going through something. Can y'all talk to me about this? You know,
Yeah.
and having that space so that you can, because real estate agents, we go through so much. We go through, and it's stressful sometimes. And just having that space to be able to share those stories, you know.
And even, you know, when you are an entrepreneur, as you are your business, right? As a real estate agent, you are your business. So your personal life and your business life are so intertwined. And sometimes, again, even in our group, when we talk about things, it's not always business related. Sometimes we're simply just like, you guys, this thing happened to me personally and it's just affecting me this week. Yeah. And, you know, we're there to support any way that we can. It's not always just about the business, because your personal life sometimes is in your business.
Exactly. I was just talking before you guys got here with the Pouch 6 studio guys about real estate introduces.
Shout out to Pouch 6.
Pouch 6, baby, in Austin. Best podcast studio in the world, taking over. But I was just talking with them about the how real estate introduces a new form of anxiety to me weekly. And like keeps this week it's about like the cleaner like not locking the door, and me like waking up being like, oh, like oh my God, did I lock the door? And then the next week it's about like, okay, they're sending money via wire. Did that go through okay? Like I have this house that's been sitting for X amount of time. Like there's all these different factors that weigh on your mind. And when you get busy, it seems like it attacks you a lot.
Oh, yeah. Well, and even, aren't you amazed at how many things can go wrong on a transaction? And those of you who don't know, the last week in Austin, we had a crazy ice storm, right? And so a lot of people were without power. A lot of people were without things. And so, you know, I was talking to Carrie Ann, our title rep at Austin Title.
Shout out.
And shout out, Carrie Ann.
Way to go, Carrie Ann.
But she was saying that, you know, there was a home that was under contract and they had to get the earnest money and option money. And with a Texas contract, you have so many days, right? Mm-hmm. Well, we were all frozen. People didn't have power. So what do you do if you can't wire the money? What do you do?
Mandy, what do you do?
What do you do?
Tell me.
Well, so Carrie Ann said when they called her and they're like, I can't wire you money. The bank doesn't have power. I don't have power. What do we do? Her answer was, well, talk to the listing agent and figure it out. Like, and that's what so much of real estate is, just problem solving, because there will be problems on every transaction, right? Yep. But it's how do you solve them? How do you make it work for both parties? Because the thing too that I am always surprised at is how much negotiating can happen that's not necessarily written in that contract.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can negotiate all sorts of things. And this is one of those items where it's like, this is what the contract says. We all signed it, but we're all in the middle of an ice storm. No one has power. I can't physically send the money. What are we all going to do? And guess what? The other side understood because they were in the same boat. And they're like, okay, we'll give you an extra 2 days. Let's, you know, is that okay? 3 more days? But again, it's also humanity. I feel like you have to come together on some things. But they totally got it. And they were like, okay, we'll give them a few extra days. Just, you know, we understand.
That's great that they were cooperative with that. Like
they were.
And a lot of times, like especially, I imagine, were you on the buy or the sell side on this one?
Oh, it wasn't my contract.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't my contract.
Gotcha.
It was a scenario that happened. And I thought, oh my goodness, like, that makes sense.
I was going to say listing agents are like in a buyer's market, they're probably a little more understanding.
Depends on the market, right?
Right, yeah.
A year ago?
Yeah,
No.
A year ago they'd be like,
we need an extra $2,000.
You got no power, no water?
Yeah.
I need my money. That's great.
So true. Hey, so this podcast is really aimed towards a lot of agents that are just looking to amplify their business. And there's veteran agents and there's also a lot of new agents that are listening. So what would you, can you give some advice to newer agents? Because you are so good at networking, right? So
I love networking.
You are great at networking. So can you give any tips about how to network better?
Networking better. So I think it really all comes down to what you say a lot is contribution.
Okay.
Giving, contribution. What can you give to people, right? Because at the end of the day, we want to come from that space. And when you're networking with people, that's where you want to come from. It's like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. How can I contribute to this group? What can I do? And sometimes it's not even necessarily business related. It's just you need to help them set up for an event, or you need to help push some stuff on social media. It's not even real estate related, but someone's having a party at a boutique or Botox party or whatever it is, and you help spread the news, right? You're just kind of that conduit of energy, and you're that conduit of, okay, I want to spread what you want to spread, and how can I do that? How can I help you, right?
Because I heard something really good. Like I don't know if we talked about this already, but being that conduit of energy and good and joy and hey, we're gonna figure this out, or we're gonna work together, is so much better than being a reservoir of good. Because what happens with the reservoir is things become stagnant, they get old, they dry up, right? So being that conduit, I love that you said that.
Yeah, and it's true. Like, I am a big believer in what you put out energy wise is what you will reap, right? Like, there's not an accident that I meet the clients that I meet, or there's not I attract the people that I want to work with.
Ooh,
right? And that I believe it, right? And so that's why I put the energy that I put out, because that's the energy I want back.
Ooh.
Right? And so there's this golden rule.
Boom.
Wait, you know the golden rule, right? It's like, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. There's a platinum rule. Did y'all know that?
Oh, I didn't.
There's a platinum rule. And it is do to others as they want you to do. Because not everyone wants to be treated the way you do. They want to be treated the way they want, right? So you've got to be in tune with how that person wants to be treated, or what they need, right? It's not always about what you want onto them. It's like, hey, what's their love language? Hey, what do they need? Hey, what is it that I can do for them? And giving it to them. Yeah. Not necessarily because I'm a lot for a lot of people. And so not everybody's going to jive with me, right? But there's people that enjoy me because I resonate more their energy back to them.
Yeah.
Again, it's just trying to give people what they want, not what you necessarily want.
It's funny you bring that up, because have y'all watched The Last of Us on HBO?
I haven't yet, but it looks so good.
Okay.
So good.
Is it good? Okay.
I won't, no spoilers.
Don't spoil.
No spoilers at all. I won't be. But it's funny that you mentioned the platinum rule, because if you listen carefully, you'll hear that somewhere throughout the series.
Real? Oh.
So it's just funny that I just watched it and that you brought it up. It's like a theme that's running in my life right now. So I needed to hear that.
It's true.
I saw a meme recently, and it was, did you know that, oh my gosh, what is that guy from Titanic that's really popular?
Leonardo
DiCaprio.
Yeah, who's that really low profile actor?
I forgot his name. Yeah. Apparently, Leonardo DiCaprio and his girlfriend are the same age difference.
I saw that one.
As the people that are on The Last of Us.
Oh my gosh.
The guy and the girl.
I saw that, and it's like her dad, right?
I know.
In the series? Oh gosh. Okay.
That's so bad.
I did see that.
Hey, so I have a question. So Zillow, our favorite company that starts with a Z, they just released an article maybe last week that said that Austin's market is ice cold, like verbatim. How do you feel about that? How's that resonate with you?
Ice cold. I think it's thawing. I do. I think it's thawing. Now, I do think that we did slow down. I mean, I shouldn't say I think. I've seen the stats, right? The data shows we slowed down, we came down. That's all real. But it's just interesting in the last probably, what would y'all say, 2 to 3 weeks?
Absolutely.
That I've seen some multiple on homes that have sat for 100 days. Like just this last week, a home that was on the market for 103 days. I called to make an offer. She goes, well, we already have an offer. And I was like, you have an offer? And she's like, mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, snap. Now, I don't think these offers are at list or over like they were.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't think we're worrying about like all that craziness again. But the fact that she had an offer after 103 days and I'm calling to ask, she's like, well, you can put in an offer, but this one's it's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm like, is it at list? And she said, no. And I said, okay, well, but again, it wasn't far off. So
right.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. And granted, this listing was below market value, which that's going to attract the most attention.
Yep.
But speaking of multiple offers, this home off of McNeil that, I'm browsing for a few out-of-state clients. and we were really excited about this one. I go to make the offer, and I'm asking, can you give me like a? She goes, oh yeah, we already have multiple offers. I'm like, it's been on the market for 3 days. What do you mean? And so,
Wow.
And I was like, well, how many offers are we talking? And it was 6 at that time. It gets better.
This was last week?
This was last week.
Now, here's the thing. That house was amazingly priced.
Amazingly
Okay,
priced.
but still.
Great area.
In my opinion, the area was the best thing about it. It needed work. And so I was still shocked. Like, I went in there and I was shocked that this home had 6 offers. And so anyway, we threw ours in. We're the 7th, right? And we were competitive. We were $25K over asking price.
Okay.
We lost 19 offers. 19. I haven't heard those numbers since last year, like early last year.
Wow.
So, in a little more context, it's in Avery Ranch area, right? And it was below 300,000.
Oh, in Avery Ranch.
So,
I mean,
but
are we sure that house isn't like haunted or something?
yeah,
I know, right?
But I'm like, it's a 2-2. Like, that's a very uncommon setup.
That's a small, yeah.
Like, it's an uncommon setup. And so it
Interesting.
kind of threw me for a loop.
That is actually pretty crazy.
That's what I'm saying. And it needed work. Like, it needed all new fixtures. Like, it needed, I don't know, like there was a big, crack in the wall that made me think there could be some underlying foundation issues.
Okay, but still.
I could not believe that we had 19 offers on that one house, and it sold in 4 days.
Wow.
Pretty crazy.
Isn't it crazy how flexible we have to be with the market? Like, sometimes it'll tighten up and we won't have any inventory, so we have to educate our clients really quickly that, hey, there's not as much inventory, we're going to have to boost up our offers, and then inventory just comes up, interest rates go up, and then now
And we're all like, oh, twiddling our thumbs.
I know.
Well, and I think that may be one of the hardest things to grasp as a real estate agent is the market, right? And I've learned, and this is so counterintuitive, but I've learned the more you niche down, the more referrals you will get. And it sounds so like, no, that's not true. But to know your market as far as like even neighborhoods, to be able to say this neighborhood has this neighborhood, and to know the difference on those markets on such a micro level is very important, right? But even like you said, it changes so quickly. And sometimes I'm sure you even feel the same way. I get caught off guard. Like,
oh yeah,
we've been stagnant for how many months, and then all of a sudden 19 offers?
Exactly.
Are you kidding me? Like,
I had to sit there and tell my clients, I was like, this is not normal. This is an absolute anomaly right now.
And what you just described, I feel like, is one of those things as an agent that will either break you with a client or make you with a client. Because that scenario, like you said, it was a one-off. I will give you that. It is a one-off. That was weird. But like the way you handle that situation with your clients, because now they're thinking, right? Okay, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
Or, oh my goodness, he was right. We need to start being more competitive, or we need to start up in the ante. And it only takes that happening maybe once with your clients before they start really listening. And so that is such a but again, that's one of those things where if you learn to communicate with your clients correctly, they will be forever grateful.
I agree.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what year is it?
Hey,
That
so I'm gonna toot my own horn right now.
Go.
And
Toot.
Jordan,
Toot, toot.
Jordan already knows what I'm talking about because I've been bragging about it all week. Look at Jordan.
Smirking.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I made this post on Facebook, and basically it was, hey, I just want to help. But most people think that you need 20% down to purchase a property. And then I pretty much broke down, like, if you're spending $2,000 a month in rent, that's $24,000 a year. That's $72,000 over the span of 3 years. And I got so many comments and so many shares.
That post popped off.
Yeah.
It was insane. And that's just the front end. Like, y'all only saw the likes, the shares, and the comments. What I saw was people messaging me like crazy. I got at least 6 leads from it. And out of those 6 leads, I filtered it down to 3 leads because obviously, like, you got to figure out who's actually going to be qualified.
Yep.
And one thing about that post was I said, hey, there's even 0 down options, right? Now, the thing is, yes, there is 0 down options, but one, are you going to want to live out in Gerald? And 2, are you going to want to pay $3,600 a month because interest rates are higher with some of these programs, right? So yeah, it's just really cool that one Facebook post caused 6 leads and then it filtered down.
Now, John, I feel like you're being a little modest here. You are like the super king on these social media
That's
things.
so true.
Like, he is so good. You're so good with marketing. Like, not even just social. You're just good with marketing. Like, you have this just like eye for it. And if you weren't in real estate, you should just be in marketing. Because you have this way of seeing things that, like, when you say it, I see it. But I would have thought of that. Like, you come up with these ideas that I'm always just like, oh, that is a good idea, John. Secretly taking notes.
Now listen, true story. So John made that post. I saw it was popping off and I was like, okay, I'm going to make my own spin on this, right? Like, I'm going to take the bones of what he said and put it out myself. So when John posted it, there's 150 likes, there's 12 shares. He's getting thousands of email or inboxes about it and comments saying, yeah, let's work together. I got like 3 likes on mine. So it doesn't, I think, and there's multiple factors in that. Like, you have a much broader fan base. Fan
base. I like that. It is fan base.
Yeah, exactly. Like, these are like your ambassadors, your networking people. Like, and I kind of constrict my Facebook, for example, to a lot of like my more inner circle people.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, but that just goes to show to people listening, you never know what post you're going to make that's going to change the week, the trajectory that you're on. One of our first episodes, we talked about like me not wanting to post videos on a certain date, or like not liking what I said here, like the way I look in this. And it's like, no one gives a crap. Post the content, make the post on Facebook, on Instagram, social media, whatever, because you don't know what's going to catch people's attention, what's going to pop off and absolutely just fill your pipeline.
And
that's
I
such a
think
great story.
With that too is the authenticity and the genuineness of what you're posting, right?
Oh,
so like we can yes, because John posted that and we all know John and he comes from a place of contribution. So we know that post is genuine. It's a good post for him, right?
It's not made from Chat GPT.
It's not Chat GPT. So, and again, I think that's what people really are craving. And especially when we are kind of in a more digital world now, it's hard to connect with people sometimes. And so you have to find the platform, the marketing, whatever that works best for you. And so it has to feel a connection with the person. It has to feel genuine and not just, hey, did you know you could get a house without 20%? Like that's not how your post was. It was a genuine, like, hey,
I even misspelled things and like I capitalized certain things. And
do you want a great tip on how to get engagement?
Come on.
If you want to get people engaged in your videos, I learned this on TikTok. If you want to get engagement in your videos, make mistakes on purpose.
Ooh.
So like one guy was saying that he made this video about Tic Tacs or something, and he was making like how to organize Tic Tacs in the actual thing, and he said 16 plus 16 is 31 or something like that. And he got so much engagement because I was like 16 plus 16 is 31, and they were all correcting him. He said the algorithm doesn't know what people are actually commenting, just that they are, or that they're liking, or that they're sharing. Like, look at this idiot. Oh my gosh. And so it was an interesting like twist on misspell things or misadd things or do things that people want to correct you on, because let me tell you, they want to correct you and they want to tell you you're wrong, right? One of my most popular TikToks that I made that has like 12,000 views was simply a post I made. It was a political post. So everyone wanted to comment because it's political. Now, I didn't share my stance on it. It just was Governor Abbott talking about he was going to lower taxes. Everybody would love lower taxes, right? But everyone has an opinion on Governor Abbott. Everyone has an opinion on what is going to happen. Is it going to happen or it's not going to happen? So I had like 400 likes and like, I don't know, 100 and something comments. Anyway, but it got a lot of traction because people want to give their opinion on it.
I agree.
Right?
I think we need to expound more on what you said earlier, and was people love authenticity. And it's just so cool that you say that, because I'm starting to realize throughout my life, like, hey, if I'm just real and I tell people like the good and the bad, they're going to look at me as a real person instead of a computer or a robot, you know? And because nowadays there are so many opportunities to get a robot to write
computer.
get a computer to write out your descriptions and stuff like that. And yes, there is a time and a place to use those and leverage that for your time, but when it comes to actually an actual relationship with someone, it can't be a robot.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, and I think it all comes down to relationships and people, right? And in real estate, I mean, that's the reason that I got into it, is because I like people. And I've done a lot of public facing jobs, right? I've been a server. I worked in public education. I've even worked in a pharmacy, right? And all those are dealing with the public. And I love them all. Like, yes, there's bad days, as with any job. But overall, I enjoy it because I'm making those connections and exchanging energy with those people, right? And so I think at the end of the day, that's what it all comes down to, is treating people with that authentic self so that they feel that compassion and love and energy between you.
Well, we talk about people being able to sniff out BS. And I feel like there's so much of it, especially online, that when you are genuine, it disrupts what people are used to seeing. And so it feels different, right? Like you feel more prompted to engage, right? Because you're like, man, like I can tell like this is a genuine thing. Like I don't want a post to sound like I'm a Google ad. You know what I mean? Like I want it to come from a place of like, hey, this is what's going on. Like I want to help. I want to be a resource. How can I help you today? Things like that. And when you live it, it becomes your uh-oh. I don't know if y'all can hear that. There's like
they're coming for you, John.
They're like, he knows too much. Take him away. But yeah, people
ChatGPT.
They have like their own task force to take out the free-minded people. Right?
You're talking bad about us? You're out.
I know.
Yeah, but I think just to kind of summarize that, it's like people crave genuine interaction and help, and I think they've gotten really good at identifying phoniness because there's so much of it online. I don't know about you guys, it feels like everyone these days is selling something. It's like they're selling an idea, they're selling a product, they're selling their company, whatever it is. People are always just wanting you to sell. And like when I get an inbox message from someone I don't know, I almost immediately have like a, where's this going? What
I haven't
pyramid
talked to you
scheme?
since high school. What do you want, Sally?
Yeah, I don't want your herbal tea. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not into Scentsy. Like
They're getting creative too.
Yeah.
I just got basically somebody tricked me into an EXP appointment, and I don't know. I was like, what?
They
I was like,
tricked you into
what's
it?
going on here?
They're pretty open about it. I don't know if there's trickery there.
No. Basically, they had a friend of mine introduce me to this person, and basically my friend was like, "Hey, my friend wanted me to introduce you to him. He, he's an agent too, and he's really cool." But I mean, literally, that happens to me like 15 times a week. I mean, a month, 15 times.
Yeah, I think I remember you telling me about this, and they were like, "Yeah, like I've recruited 90 agents," and you're like,
No,
well,
this one, no.
different one."
That's a different one.
But
No,
it's like,
that guy was cool.
oh, okay, cool. It's like, okay, cool. After this meeting, it's still going to be 90. So, just want you to know that.
No, and that's the thing is, never mind.
But John, I mean, again, people are attracted to your energy, right? And so that's why you're successful with these appointments and recruiting and building your team and all that. How many people do you have on your team now?
5 total.
Oh man,
Yeah, including our secret weapon.
Yep.
What?
We're not allowed to talk about it. You heard the sirens. They're listening.
Okay. All right.
They're listening.
All right. I won't ask.
But I'll tell you after the podcast.
Okay.
But yeah, it's oh my gosh, what were you talking about? Authenticity. Oh, okay. I want to say something. It was funny because today's Wednesday. When we're recording this podcast, it'll come out next Monday. But on Monday, just a couple days ago, this agent was texting me and she said, "Hey, if you have any appointments or showings or anything going on with client-facing appointments, can you let me know? And I just want to shadow you because she's new to real estate." And at that time, I look at my calendar and I'm like, "Oh, nothing's really client facing.
Right.
And then I made that Facebook post where it just blew up. And from that one Facebook post, my entire week got scheduled with appointments,
Very
right?
quickly.
And so then the next day I'm like, hey, actually, I know I told you I didn't have anything this week, but now like, would you like to go to this, or that? And it's just crazy how authenticity can produce opportunities.
Ooh, that's good. Authenticity can create opportunities.
Put that on a piece of art. Hang it up in your room.
I mean, you need that on a shirt.
Ooh,
John Perez merch.
Yep.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yep.
I've got a question for you. So, what is your absolute favorite thing about being in real estate? And then is there anything that you wish you could change about the industry?
Ooh, that's a good one.
We need to save that question for
Already done,
time.
baby.
Cool.
Already
Is
done.
that your ending question every time? I like this, right?
No, it's
that's
not
a good
ending
one. So favorite thing, of course, is going to be those relationships that you make with your clients. And I say that because, you know, it's I have this feeling that when people live in a home, it becomes a very intimate space for them. This is where they raise their family. This is where they have large events happen. This is where they grieve. This is where life happens in these homes, right? And so when someone invites you into that intimate space, it is a special invitation, or at least I take it that way. Maybe not everyone, but I take it as, hey, this person's inviting me into their space. Like that's a good thing, right? And I'm very honored.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm
love
honored to
that.
be into that space, right? And so to help them transition into the next phase of life, because anytime someone's moving, there's a next phase. Like they're doing it because they're having a kid, or they're getting married, or they're downsizing, or they're moving. There's an event that's happening that's causing this change, right? So to help that person transition into that next phase, again, I feel is a very special connection. And again, I don't take that lightly. When I make those connections with people, it's something that I'm honored to be allowed in their space. I'm honored that they're choosing me to help them with this transition. And I'm going to try as hard as I can to make it as easy as possible. And I tell them it will not be easy, but I'm going to try to help you make it as smooth and as stress-free as I can. Right?
I love that so much. It is such a big vote of confidence in you when they pick you to be the realtor. That's not just because they need you for a transaction. They need you to facilitate a big change.
Yes.
And that is a big responsibility.
And you will experience tears with people who are moving out of a home that they've lived in for 25 years, raised their kids, and they're having to leave. I've experienced that. When the inspector comes in and starts picking apart this house that they have built and that they love, it's hard. And sometimes you have to prep that inspector and say, listen, I know you're going to find a lot of things, but let's just hit the highlights here, you know? And so again, it's a very special thing. And I think that's my favorite part, is just being allowed into their space and helping them with a transition.
I love that.
That's what it is. That's what I love. That's what I love. Now, going into pretty homes is fun, and negotiating the contract, I enjoy that too, right? But I do all of that for the end result of helping them transition.
If you were to put a percentage on how much time you spend lead generating and then actually doing deals, right? So TikToks, networking, all that, right? Mm-hmm. And then actually working with a client, what would you say that percentage is?
So the percentage of time of lead gen versus actually working, man, I am lead genning all the time.
I feel like it's like
All the
90-10.
I think it's 90-10.
But I was gonna say that's probably, yeah, I'd say 90-10.
Because even when you're working a contract, you are still worried about putting out videos, filming for your next week's content.
And guys, this is tips for top producers. Everybody in these seats are doing multiple millions in sales a year. So say it again, Jordan.
Oh God, I don't remember. No, I'm just kidding. When you have a contract, do not get hung up on that one deal.
Yes.
You have to continually lead generate, because that is the business you're in.
Yep.
And if you stop, you are going to feel that immediately. Like, you're going to feel the freeze happen in your funnel. Mm-hmm. It's just going to happen. We are in a constant content and a constant engagement business.
I mean, during the contract, even I'm lead genning, because I'm like, Who's the other agent? Who do they work for? Do you love who you work for? Are you on a team? Would you like some help? How much do you do a year? Oh, let's have coffee. I mean, I want to know that other agent. I want to know what they're up to. What are they doing that works? Again, kind of like our mastermind. It's just, I like that. But my inspectors, did they do a good job? Do I want to use them again? Hey, do you do a lot of new home? Do you do a lot? What do you do? Resale? You know, I want to know them. My roofers, my handyman, like it's all generating because you never know where that next lead will come from. I have gotten leads from the most random places that I never would have even, I don't know. Like, I've gotten one from my maid. I've gotten one from a neighbor that just remembered me. I've gotten them off Facebook. I've gotten them from, I mean, again, it's just random places. So again, just keep making friends.
Yeah.
That's what I say. Just be friends.
And the steps throughout your transaction can also be things that you're shouting out, right? Hey, we're walking through this property today.
Yep.
Boom, there's a post.
Yep.
You made an offer and got accepted. We're under contract. You closed. Fantastic. There we go. Like those are just right off the bat.
That's
those are
just
three
things.
posts.
Yep.
And you should be doing other stuff in between that.
People love getting noticed. People love, being given that, what's the word?
Attention.
Attention, I guess, right?
Like the spotlight.
Even your inspector. Like, hey, I used this inspector. They were fantastic. If anyone in Austin needs a local inspector, call Joe.
And that's a value add.
Oh, and they love it too. And now you've built a little bit of rapport and trust in that person just from that alone, right? And that's what you want to do is you want to come from that contribution of like, hey, I'm going to build you up because that's what I want to do.
I got a lead the other day from you need an insurance guy? Yeah, here's this insurance guy. He does great work. And then the insurance guy calls me the next day. Is like, hey, I'm looking to buy a house. I'm like, all right, let's do this.
Again, you just never know. You never know.
I'm not gonna let this question go.
I
though.
know.
I'm not gonna let it go.
Okay.
Give me one thing. Even if you're like, no, real estate's incredible, everything's great. Give me one. Give me one thing, at least one, that you wish you could change about the industry.
One thing that I'd change about the industry as a whole, or just in like
it can be on a transactional basis. It can be about other realtors. It could be about anything.
Well, I mean, or one thing you don't like about real estate, right? Or is that the same?
More like
same thing.
A process that you think needs to be added or taken away, or if there's too much red tape on this, or there's not enough on this, like.
So I will say, I feel like red tape is very needed on home purchases and
100%.
selling. So, I could sit here and complain about contracts because I don't enjoy doing them. That's why I have a transaction coordinator. She helps me get all that done. But I don't love that, right? But
do you want to give a shout out to your transaction coordinator?
Oh, my transaction coordinator, Beth Burrows, is amazing with seamless contracts.
Oh, okay. Cool.
She's awesome, and she's an actress. Anyway, so I know, fun fact.
Has she been in any of your TikToks?
No.
You should get her in.
I've met her once at a Renaissance festival where she was acting.
How funny.
It's funny. Anyway.
You told me about that.
Yeah,
you went to the Renaissance festival and you were like, or did she?
She invited me.
Yeah,
she invited me. Anyway, also, so what I would change, I think the red tape's important. I think you need to have all that for the legality and all the things. So I understand that process. What I don't understand, and I don't know if there's any way to change it, but just maybe educate people on it more, is when you're negotiating with another agent, it is not an us versus them mentality that gets the contract done, right? It is a, look, this is what my clients want. What do your clients want? Can we meet in the middle? Yes or no? You don't need to talk down to me. You don't need to be rude. You don't need to flout your, I've been doing this for 35 years.
The word.
Right? So again, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be fighting for your client. You should be, but there's respectful ways to communicate with each other that I feel like is very much just like, hey, my client can't do that. I'm sorry. Would your client be willing to meet here? Or if not, then we need to back out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's no reason to get involved as far as, being rude or condescending. That's just uncalled for. So for me, I think that is just one of my biggest pet peeves is when other agents feel like I'm a shark and I'm going to tell you what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. And I'm just like, you get more flies with honey.
Yep.
I see a lot of that in the real estate mastermind groups online where like a newer, like very obviously newer agent will post something and all the 25-year veterans come in the comments and they're just like super snarky and like, I'm like, dude, you're so annoying, and I don't give a crap that you have been here almost my entire lifespan in the industry. That just means you're old and crusty, and you probably still want me to send over the documents via fax.
Yep.
Get out of here.
No, but it's like come from education too. It's like when people are like, "You're an idiot. You must not read the contract. It's in section whatever." But it's like, okay, look, you could simply say in section 5 of the contract it states this. That's your answer.
Exactly.
Like, there's no need to be like, well, do you not read the contract? Like, yeah. Well, anyway.
I totally agree.
So, one more question, unless you have one. But for newer agents, what's your best lead gen tip?
Make more friends.
Okay.
Like, I do it in networking, right? So I throw events for my neighborhood, my HOA, or not my HOA, but I throw it for my neighborhood. And that seems to be a good thing. And it's not that I ever necessarily make it sponsored by Mandy Botts, real estate agent. I simply do like a moms group. And I'll be like, hey, neighborhood moms, I want to get to know more of the moms in my neighborhood, which I do because I feel like it takes a village sometimes, right? So I want to know all these other moms anyway. And it naturally comes up. What do you do? Oh, you stay at home mom? Do you work? Where do you work? You know, like it's just a natural flow. So
you don't have to be salesy. You just have to build that relationship. Yeah.
Right. And it's just, again, even just in passing, like, hey, this is who I am. Here's what I do if you ever need anything. Right. So networking, getting more friends, you know, going to parties.
It sounds very simple. Like it's don't overcomplicate it.
It sounds simple. Yes.
Well, we live in a microwave society where they want leads and they want them to close now.
Yeah.
And
that is not the case.
And with
the long game.
Yeah. With real estate, it's building relationships over a long period of time. And then eventually one of them will pop.
I remembered what I was going to say earlier and I had forgotten, but you reminded me of something that Tom Ferry says all the time, which is the hyper local agent wins. And it's, you don't have to be the king. Like Austin is a big city.
Yes.
You do not have to be the king or queen of Austin from north to south, east to west to win. But what do you know about your neighborhood? What do you know about your zip code? Like focus on those and get be the expert for that before you start worrying about somewhere that's 30 minutes away from you.
Well, and think about this too. When people travel to a new city, right? We all know McDonald's, we all know Target, we all know the big Goliaths of the world. But what do people want? They want the local flavor. They want the local secret spots, right? So if you know all those little secret spots in your little neighborhood, man, you're going to come out on head because they're going to be like, oh, Mandy told me about this one restaurant, this one coffee shop, this one place that's a local flavor, right? So again, that's kind of what people want when they go somewhere or even when they work with someone, that you have a secret scoop. You have an inside look at something. And so that's why I try to really focus. I'm basically Cedar Park. Like that's where I'm going to focus and that's where I'm best useful. Now, I say that and then every once in a while I'll get somewhere out. But I also know that I don't want to drive 30 minutes to show a property like 10 times because they want to be in Hutto.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
And then hit traffic on the way back.
And I mean, but again, think about it this way too. Time is money, right? And if I'm spending 30 minutes one way, 30 minutes another way, plus gas, plus car wear, plus all of that, it's just, for me, it's not worth my time. I have a family. And so I have to be protective of my time with my family and my work. And like we said, sometimes that gets really sticky and it kind of mixes, but I try to just make sure that when I'm helping someone, I want to know exactly where we're going to be and I want to be the most helpful there.
I actually do have one more question because I was going to skip it, but what you just said kind of triggered it for me, which was when we do get busy, is there anything in particular you do that makes it to where you have a nice family work-life balance?
Setting expectations up front with my clients is key. And most of the time, the people that want to work with me and that I want to work with them understand. And I tell them like, hey, I have a family, so I will not show properties after 6 p.m. because it's dark anyway. You're not going to really see the property in its full capacity. Plus, that's my family time. So I will get back to you tomorrow at 9 a.m. or whatever, right? And just letting people know. And like we were talking with authenticity, people usually get it. And if they don't, if they're like, no, I want an agent that I can call at 11 p.m. and they will answer the phone.
we're not going to
Cool.
be a good fit.
You just made the answer very easy for me. This isn't going to be a good fit, right? And I think now in the beginning, it's hard. When you're hungry and you want those clients, it's really hard. And I'm not saying that you can't do that. You absolutely can. And maybe in the beginning you should. If you really want, you got to grind, right? We all have been there. But when you get to a certain point, certain age, certain whatever you want to say, you realize that there's no getting time back. You can always get more money. You can always work for money, but you can't get time back, right? Mm-hmm. And so you really have to prioritize. Look, I only have so much time that my kid will be this age. There's only so many baseball games. There's only so many of these things that I'm willing to miss. Money will always be there.
Man, that was fire.
I love that.
That was fire.
If you didn't say it, I was going to, which is if you're like a newer agent and you want to grind, feel free.
Yeah, do it.
There will come a point in your life where you start valuing your time more than what that money is when you start getting steady business.
Yep.
And that's incredible because it frees you from the shackles of like a toxic client relationship.
And it gives you this like newfound confidence. And then people like actually see that confidence, like, I want to work with that guy.
Well, and I think there's even that like tactic. I think we talked about it, like that pullback. Like, here's what I'm going to offer you. And if they're like, oh, no, but you go, okay, well, then never mind. They're like, well, wait a second.
Exactly.
You're just going to go away? And
Yeah.
you're like, yeah, I'm not going to deal with that. And they're like, okay, I'll straighten up.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing that kind of piggybacks off that, and I'll end with this, is I use my calendar all the time now, and I check that to make sure like a point versus like when I started, it was I'm wide open. Like my time, whatever time you want to go, yeah, I'll be there. Just let me know.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's, hey, like I want to go look at this house on Saturday at 3:00. Great. Let me check my calendar to make sure that works for me.
Yep.
Because I understand you're free then. I may not be. Yeah. And it's okay to set healthy boundaries, as you said, or proper expectations with your clients because you're not putting yourself in a compromising position and you've laid the groundwork up front. You know, here's what I'm willing to do, here's what I'm not willing to do. And that's okay.
And it's also good. That's why, you know, you network with other agents too, because there may be a time when you're sick or something's happened that's not, you know, not just boundary issues, but just like you can't make it, right? And it's always nice to have someone that you can call and say, hey, I'm super sick. Could you do me a big favor and just go show this property? You know, it builds a lot of goodwill with your fellow real estate agents.
100%. I agree. Well, Jordan and I are so thankful that you have joined us today.
I'm so excited to come. Like, we've been trying to make this work for so long, and I kept being like, can I come now, John? John, what about? But we had a lot of things that just schedule-wise.
And it's totally understood. Trust me.
And this has been great. There is so much, like, even just sitting here, like, again, kind of with the mastermind, like, I'm feeling vamped up. I'm feeling good. Like, there was so much good info in here that I think people are going to walk away with, you know, better for having listened to this episode.
So can you, when we close it out, we usually give like our information. Can you, what's your Instagram account? What's your TikTok account? How can people get a hold of you?
Sure. So my Instagram is @livewithzeal.
Okay.
Because that's what I believe in. But if you want to see my most active social, it's going to be my TikTok account because I love TikTok. So it's @MandyATX Realtor is my TikTok account. You can look me up on Facebook as well. Mandy Botts. I'm with Keller Williams, and yeah.
Nice. That's cool. Yeah. And quick note, if you have listened to the past podcasts, I told you my Instagram account was @SoldByJohnPerez. It is no longer @SoldByJohnPerez.
Oh.
It's @John Michael Perez. So,
and @JordanSellsATX over here on TikTok and Instagram.
We're going to be doing classes soon, sooner than later. We're putting together some courses. So 100% just to bring value to you guys. And so, yeah. Anything else, Jordan?
That's it for me. All good.
All right. We appreciate you, Mandy, for being here.
Thank you, guys.
And thank you all so much for listening. If you liked what you heard, please share it. We're getting so much momentum right now, and we absolutely love seeing you guys sharing our stuff. So we appreciate it.
Go be great in your local market. We'll see you in the next one.
See ya.
What a good episode.